Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes report for the past 2 days, past 48 hours, and very little frontline change for 2 days. So now we're going to jump straight on to the Sumy front first. Great news for the Ukrainians. The Ukrainian forces has been geolocated in the south of Andriivka as they are counter-attacking Andriivka and managed to capture some grounds back. This is the firm line. This is the firm control. However, based on Deep State UA, the Ukrainian mapping have mapped that they have fully captured Andriivka back from the Russians. So this is the Ukrainian claims that they have taken back the entire settlement. We cannot corroborate this just yet, but probably we will be able to get some kind of geolocation or some updates, maybe from the pro-Russian side, to corroborate this. The advance from the Ukrainians is around 1.5 to 2 kilometers, which means that the Russians may not be defending much at this village or town. So significant advance from the Ukrainians, and this contributed to 3.77 square kilometers recaptured from the Russians in the Sumy front. The first success from the Ukrainians since the Russians launched the Sumy offensive. So that's the Andriivka. The next frontline change, we go on to Horlivka over at the Siversk front. Oops, give me a second. So over at the Siversk front, this is Siversk. Ukrainians continue to map and update the mapping around here. This time around, they have considered this chunk over here. This part of the forest is, according to the Ukrainians, taken by the Russian forces. Very small chunk. This is like a few hundred meters, 300, 400 meters in terms of depth. The Ukrainian mapping updated the map, but a lot of this frontline changes here is already noted due to geolocations previously, and they are still slowly updating this area here to show slow increasing Russian control. Although for us, the Russians is already at Shevchenko. For the Ukrainians, the Russians haven't even taken Horlivka. So there's a massive parallel universe between the Russian and the Ukrainian perspective. The next frontline change after Horlivka is at Oleksievka. So this over at this Koma front, Koma is over here at Oleksievka. There's a small frontline change in the north of Oleksievka where the Russian forces have advanced slightly in this region here. Very tiny change, not particularly important per se. This is based on geolocations previously. And over at Koma itself, in the north of Koma at Perebudova, so this is Perebudova, Russian forces has been geolocated in 3 different positions over in Perebudova or northern part of Koma region. This geolocation is actually across the Mokriali River. So these 3 geolocation confirms the Russians have captured the west bank of Koma or Perebudova, and this also stretches on to Perebudova due to how there is the bridge over there, which means to cross the river, the Russians have to capture the bridge. And because of the location of the geolocation, it does shows a confident control in the north of Koma. So if I zoom in a bit, you can see the bridge is over here. The Russians have to cross the bridge in order to capture the rest of the place. But the speed of the advance also means that the Russians have pretty firm control over this other side of the eastern part of the river as well, with the lack of updates, lack of the Ukrainian resistance because of this raising of the flag over there. Sorry if my English is getting very lousy. My diction and my my way of explaining, because I'm awake for too long. Just now we just finished DPA open mic, so yeah, and then I do this mapping. So my mouth and my tongue is no longer operational, like it's running on fumes. But if your tongue is running on fumes, it's quite scary. Fumes are poisonous. So anyway, happy birthday to you if your birthday today. And over at Shevchenko. So at Shevchenko, the Russian forces have been geolocated in the south. They captured huge amount of grounds. Over here, this is confirmed by geolocation. In the latest mapping from the Ukrainians, the Russian forces have captured this area here, the entire tree line in the east of Shevchenko, as well as some part of the northern part of Shevchenko. It's interesting that the Ukrainian mapping does not acknowledge this capture here, despite this is true geolocation. So they probably missed those videos, perhaps, not sure. But with the combination of the two, the Ukrainians only left like a quarter of Shevchenko left to defend. Looks like the battle for Shevchenko is going to end very, very soon. So so the advance in the north here is around 500 meters, which means there is a strong amount of resistance in this sector, whereas the southern one is a bit more bigger. It's more than 2 kilometers, around 3 kilometers front line change. So looks like the Ukrainians may have some problems trying to reinforce the south, which is why the Russians overrun, and they are still trying to hold the northern part. But things are looking quite bad right now. So looks like the Ukrainians may lose this place. So let's do some calculation of the total area captured. Oops, wrong one. So the Ukrainians clearly have captured 3.77. This only at the Sumy front, where they have captured back Andriivka. And so for the Russians, very small calculation as well. There's only 2 because of Siversk and the Koma front. 0.32 plus 4.09. Total area captured by the Russians is 4.41, which means that the Russians' advance in Ukraine has grinded pretty much to a stop. Very, very little frontline change, and this is for 48 hours, 2 days of advance. We went from 20 square kilometers dropping to just 2 square kilometers, 10 times drop, whereas the Ukrainians actually took back a town. I wonder what happened. If this is reality, or is there more information that is being withheld, or the Russians are slowing down, looking at what's happening in Iran. Maybe they have some other plans, maybe negotiations in the background. We do not know what the hell is happening. So yeah, but definitely a massive drop. So we shall continue to monitor and see. Maybe the Russians really slow down and we're going to go back to the 10 square kilometers era. That is also a distinct possibility. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. We are going for 100,000 subscribers. It's very slow, so please help to subscribe, and also check out the DPA open mic. We talk almost entirely on the Iran issue. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next update.